Can you hear? I'm here today along with my family and friends for my two amazing boys. Okay. But I can't talk to you about my boys. I can't even speak their names without violating a court order put in place to shut me up. I can't tell you the unspeakable truths that first came to light 5 years ago. I can't tell you the long and desperate road I have travelled from that day to this, and all the horrific things that I have witnessed and experienced in that time. Despite documenting events in minute detail and collating multiple strands of evidence to support my story, I can't tell you a thing. If I could, I would shout it from the rooftops, but I can't because I'm gagged. It is every mother's worst nightmare. It is every child's worst nightmare. What I can tell you is that I love my boys with every fibre of my being. I can tell you that every day without them is a day I'm barely living. From when I open my eyes till I lay down my head, they are on my mind and in my heart, my broken heart. If someone had told me a decade ago that I'd be given a speech at a child protection rally about being gagged, I'd have assumed they were crazy. You see, I've always lived a fairly blameless, ordinary life. I'm the type that doesn't attract the attention of the courts or the police or the media. I guess you could say I'm normal. And that is the worst type of person to end up in the family courts. Because, let me be clear, family law isn't normal.
Nope.
It's not about the law, and it sure as heck is not about families. In the best interest of the child, we are told, by the same people who call our children liars, and call us liars for believing our children.
Yes.
In the best interest of the child, we are told, by the same people who steal our children and place them in the very danger we've sought to protect them from. See, a court is supposed to be a safe place, isn't it? Especially family court. It's got the word family in it. That's a good sign, right? Most people don't ever want to end up in one, but we assume if we do, we will be treated fairly. If we ask the court in good faith to protect our children, then they will, won't they? What I have learned firsthand is that the only people who assume the family court is benevolent are those that have never stood before it. The family court is a secret court, and that's before they start gagging people. This secrecy fosters a lack of accountability and a lack of due process, and places a disproportionate amount of power in the hands of a small number of people. The most powerful of these being the judge. Ultimately, this one individual chooses which evidence to give weight to and which evidence to ignore. And on the strength of these, by definition, biased opinions, children are removed from stable homes and placed in dangerous environments. And nobody cares, because nobody can care, because it all happens in secret. It is impossible to describe the frustration of being falsely accused of another's crimes. It is impossible to imagine the indignity of being dismissed as a fantasist, whilst a dangerous predator remains at large. But these feelings barely register when compared to the empty, hollow space that exists where once you and your children stood. Most people don't lose their children overnight, so they can't really get their heads around the fact that it happens, and I get that. We all want to live in a world where our children can't be stolen by the state, and most of us think that we live in that kind of world, and we do, until our children are stolen by the state. And once gone, we are promised visitation and the carrot of contact with our children appears. Only we must accept the very big stick called court findings. And by this I mean we must be complicit in our children's abuse by pretending, like the court has, that it never happened. We must open our courts to media and independent scrutiny. We must shine a light on the dark corners of our justice system where our children come for protection and leave worse than empty-handed. We must protect our children from the very people charged with protecting them. And finally, please can you follow my campaign? I'm on Twitter, I have a new Facebook page that I'll be putting out tomorrow, a new website and a YouTube channel. Along with other campaigns such as this brilliant one by The Court Said, I'm trying to make a difference to this treacherous system. I believe it is a time of exposure. I have a duty to do this, not only for two boys in particular, but for other children too. I just want to finish off and say, Mummy loves you so much, boys.
Thank you, Samantha.